Hi, everyone. Good morning, good afternoon, maybe good evening for some. Good to see you. We are just going to wait for a couple more seconds here to get started. So if you are able to, we'd love to see you. Turn on your cameras. This is going to be interactive and casual and conversational. If you're listening mode only, that's all right too. Whatever you're more comfortable with. Okay, I think we're going to rock and roll. Good to see everybody. I'm Hamza. I'm with the Small Giants community. I have some colleagues also hanging out with us here, Annie, Tia, and Sarah. They are in the Brandy Bay, what do they call that? The Brave Bunch style in the screens there. And of course, Paul Spiegelman, our co-founder, who's going to be moderating today's conversation. So as I mentioned, this is conversational and interactive. And in addition to learning from our panelists today, we're also going to turn the floor over to you to ask your questions and also to share what you're doing with regards to this topic, offering perks and benefits to engage your employees. So with that, we will use the chat feature. So feel free to submit your questions and insights and thoughts throughout the conversation today. You can also use the raise the hand feature, which is available at the bottom. So when we get to that section, feel free to utilize those too. We'd love to hear from you. Does that sound good? With that, I'm going to turn it over to Paul to start our conversation. Paul, the floor is yours.
Thank you, and welcome everybody. So good to see all of you and hear the rest of you. I'm excited about this panel and the discussion we're going to have today, because not only do we want to hear from our great panelists, but we want to hear from all of you, because this is turning out to be such a practical topic. And we're in really interesting times now where we're finding that people are reflecting on their careers. Last month, we had a session about the people that were leaving their companies and what we need to do just to simply try to keep them, and big bonuses and things like that. Now, today, we really want to focus on the things that our employees long-term really feel that are important to them, beyond salary. What are those, what we call benefits or unique things that we're doing that make people happy, keep them loyal, show that we're people focused in our companies. And so we have two great panelists with us today. Beth Rivera is the head of people department at Uncommon Goods. If you haven't been there or heard of it before, it's a really cool direct-to-consumer website, and you can buy gifts for everybody, yourself included, from all independent people and makers and designers, and they're just very purpose and values focused. She has a long history in HR. And Keo Olakanola leads True Brewers Brewing Company, leads the HR department there. And it's a company that hires active and rival gang members. And she has an incredible story. I had Keo on my podcast a while back. So if you want to hear an incredible personal story and one of resilience, please listen to the podcast. So Beth and Keo, it's just great to have you here. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Nice to see everybody.
So Keo, let me start with you. We just need you to try to get you unmuted there somehow. Is that on our end or Keo's end? All right, well, while you work on that, I'm going to go to Beth.
All right,
So, all right, Beth, so tell us a little bit more about Uncommon Goods. I had your CEO, David, on my podcast a couple of years ago, and just, again, a great story and very purpose-driven company. But you've learned a lot, certainly over these last couple of years, and what people want. So talk about your approach to these benefits and some of the things you guys are doing.
Absolutely. So thank you for giving a good overview of Uncommon Goods. So we are very much a people-driven organization. And so I put people into three different categories. One are the people that work at Uncommon Goods, that currently work or that are potentially, in the applicant process. Two are our customers. We're very much a customer-driven business. And three are our makers and artists whose work in which we sell on our website. So doing that is really not only providing a great candidate experience, a great customer experience and a team member, we call our employees team member experience, but also incorporates the human experience. And that's a lot of what we're talking about today, and really understanding What are the drivers that people have? And so whether that's career motivators, personal motivators, compensation motivators, so really trying to understand us as individuals. So when we are attracting talent, and for us being a for-profit business, but very mission driven, we're a B Corp. So people, planet, and profits being the third of the three Ps. Very much focused on sustainability. And so being a mission-driven organization, what we're finding is coming out of a pandemic, and I don't feel like we're out yet, but after a year like 2020, and certainly with all the uncertainty, and if people are thinking about their careers and career trajectory and what matters to them, working for an organization that really cares about some of the same things that they care about is a great way that we're starting to attract some great talent and onboarding some new team members with our open role. So that's, kind of number one. Number two is always thinking about how to stay competitive when it comes to the benefits and the drivers, again, about what motivates people and understanding different generational needs, different individual needs. And while we, can't necessarily have something that is going to work for everybody individually, is to get a good sense of what is going to work overall. So what are people looking for other than the kind of standard, medical, dental, vision, 401k, and paid time off. So we did a lot of work also around our COVID safety protocols, which we talk a lot about in the interview process. So people understand, even though maybe you're not working on site right now, because we have our warehouse and office in the same location, you want to work for a company that's ensuring we're taking good care of the people who are taking good care of our customers. And so we're constantly evolving our COVID protocols, making sure that our health and safety is at the forefront of our business. And that, that's been very stressful, but it's really important, and pleased to share that we have not had one COVID spread since we reopened our warehouse last May. So I'm going to kind of pause there, and Paul, see if that kind of addresses kind of the initial question, and turn it back to you.
Yeah. I mean, that certainly frames what's special about Uncommon Goods. If you think about now answers to those questions about, well, what is it that people really want? What drives them? What creates that loyalty? What process have you gone through? And is that a reactive process to what's been happening because of COVID and all that? Or is this something, an ongoing thing that you do? In other words, how do you get that feedback? How do you know what they want? What's the process you go through? And ultimately, share a few examples of things that you've learned that you have been able to implement.
Sure. So I would say we ask a lot. And so we survey our candidates in terms of anyone who's been through the interview process. We actually send them a survey, and we review what goes well and what doesn't. We also, from a candidate experience, we read and respond to every Glassdoor review. And believe it or not, sometimes they're harsh and not true, but we don't say that, but we also acknowledge it and use those as learning opportunities. So we've modified some of our recruitment processes based on the feedback that we got from candidates, just in terms of what they're looking for when they're interviewing. Number one, we do quarterly engagement surveys with our team. They're very small, more pulse surveys. So we're constantly getting the pulse of our team so that we can acknowledge what's not working to try to fix it, but also continue to work on to focus on what we're doing well. We spend a good time with our new hires to understand. We do 30, 60, 90s with them, but during the onboarding process is understanding, why did you join Uncommon Goods? What are some great things that you had at your previous company that you would like to see us get? I'm part of some really great HR networks and talking to other people to understand what they're doing and what's working well, especially during a pandemic. I mean, I would say if you're not an HR person, go hug your HR person, because it's been really rough. And I'd say, so what's come out of that? So we offer Bravely, which is an online coaching platform. We offer it to every single one of our team members, whether you are, starting in an entry-level position all the way up through CEO. So it's unlimited coaching, professional coaching. And so there's a diversity, equity, and inclusion component to that, but also professional growth and development. So I say that's come out of that.
So wait,
yes.
I just started to slow you down, but what's that called again?
Bravely.
So it's an online coaching program.
Correct.
And it's available to all employees. And is there is there a cost, or I assume there's a cost that the company covers?
Yes, so there's the cost is, so I paid a yearly cost up front to cover, yes, so thank you, Hamza. So every one of our year-round, so we've got year-round team members, and then we hire a large seasonal team as well. But every one of our year-round team members, so 200 team members, have unlimited access. You want daily coaching, you can have daily coaching. It's all via phone, all run through an app, all confidential. The only reporting I get back is usage and feedback. And sort of kind of buckets as to what people are looking for. But people are struggling right now. They're struggling with work-life balance. You know, that was an issue prior to COVID. The other thing I would say that has come out of the feedback that we got, we are a 200-person company, all working in one location in Brooklyn. And when the company was founded by our now founder and CEO, Dave, he intentionally wanted everybody to be in one office. So prior to COVID, we were a culture of everybody, you know, in every day. And then COVID happened. And so anyone who can work remotely has been working remotely since March. As we started planning what our RTO, return to office strategy, looked like, we realized we don't know. COVID, I mean, Delta variant, Lambda variant, like all of these kind of nuances, we realized we have to plan often and communicate often. So I'd say the communication around that. So we actually transitioned RTO to what we're calling the uncommon workplace. And for now through the end of the year, we basically said, you choose. You want to come back, you come back. You don't want to come back because you're concerned about health and safety and you're more productive at home, do that. And empowering our team to make the decision has really, really helped, especially from a retention perspective, because they're getting knocked, you know, from California companies all over the country. You want to work from home? Great, work from home. So, you know, is also a way to kind of help retain our talent and giving them the autonomy to choose what's going to be best for them personally, professionally, kids going back to school, you know, dogs that don't want to be home, whatever is your driver. And I would say we also made a switch in our healthcare provider this year from Cigna to Blue Cross Blue Shield, because it meant if we kept Cigna, which I was hesitant to make any changes during a health pandemic because, you know, that already people are nervous. But if we would have stayed with Cigna, our rates would have gone through the roof, which means our employee contributions would have really accelerated. So we have a new benefits broker and doing some negotiation, we were able to keep our contributions flat. So they've been flat for 2 years, and making that change with very frequent communication and bringing our team in every step of the way, which is not how most companies work. But it really helped alleviate any concerns and has really proven to be a very successful transition from one big carrier to another. But we've been with Cigna for like 5 years. So this was a big culture change.
Yeah. When you consider the time that people have had to reflect about their careers and their jobs, some of this, like choose where you want to work, may be reacting to now that we've been through COVID and or we're still in it, do what you want to do. Are there other things that you've learned that people that just came out of this whole experience where people were reflecting? I know you do some internship programs, parental leave, unique things. What else have you learned that you feel like, wow, this is going to be a long-term addition to what we can provide to our employees?
So I just want to touch upon, because you know, Dave particularly was very involved, you know, working on the back end with New York in terms of increasing the paid parental leave. We have a very generous parental leave policy ourselves. So it's 8 weeks of paid leave for moms and dads, so parents. And so even making that shift of maternity leave to parental leave and really affording our team the opportunity to step away from work and be with your child during this time and creating those opportunities, I would say, is kind of meeting people where they are. And so I think, you know, trying to have a one size fits all approach, especially for us, because we do have an on-site workforce. Our warehouse team is on site. And then we have a remote team, is, you know, I would say building community and trying to bring our company together is one of the things we've really been trying to do to help foster this. Again, we were one company all on site, now we're split. So how do we still kind of maintain a strong culture of one company when we're all over the place? And so that's something we've been working really hard on. We do weekly company meetings via Zoom. with an Ask Us Anything approach, which has been really helpful. So we have a platform for people to ask, it's a survey tool that people can ask anonymously or not questions in advance. Some of them are sticky questions. And then our leadership team answers them every week during a call. They get a business update from Dave, our CEO, and then each department kind of rotates to do some education on what's going on. So just ways to continue to keep people connected, because I also think there are people who maybe for health reasons are staying home and choosing to stay home, but are also feeling isolated. So how do we continue to foster that sense of community and know that there are other people around you? And then the last bit I would say is we've also modified our performance management process in the middle of all this as well. And doing so with, I would say, accountability at the core of what we're doing here. So there's a woman, Cy Wakeman, if you listen to her podcast or her book, she's amazing. And I will quote her when she says, engagement without accountability leads to entitlement. So we've been really, really driving accountability in our engagement surveys, in our performance reviews, in day-to-day conversations. And it's uncomfortable. It's really uncomfortable, but it's really proven to we're starting to see some positive momentum as a result.
Yeah, well, that's a great point and speaks to this idea that you don't have to choose one or the other. You can build a great mission-focused, people-focused culture and still have a culture of accountability. And you really need to do both. So it's great that you're on that journey. Those are some great ideas. Kale, I want to bring you into the conversation now that we can hear you. So tell us what you guys have been up to. You have a unique situation, unique workforce, and I'm sure are doing some very special things.
Yeah, so for those of you who don't know, first, Paul, Hamza, Small Giants team, thank you for having me today. True Colors is a for-profit brewery with a closely knit social mission to unite gang rivals and decrease violence in our city and unite communities across the country. And so we have an active gang, team member as employees, and then we have what's called non-gang or experienced hires. And so the needs really are different. There are some things that we have in common that everyone has access to. A lot of what Beth said, are some of the things that we've done, making sure that we're listening to our employees and making sure that we respond to their immediate needs. When our team members come in, we understand that professional success is predicated on personal success for them. And so we focus on those personal items, making sure that they have stable housing and reliable transportation and understand healthy relationships. So some of the benefits we offer outside of, the common medical insurance, vision and dental, which the company covers for our team completely, is we're offering reverse mentorship, which is a way for the teams to build cohesion among each other. We're giving you the opportunity to lunch and learn, not with somebody that's senior to you or beneath you, but just with somebody that you actually work with. Because if we want to drive unity, it starts with us. And so we do that internally. So we're doing a lot of reverse mentorship with the team. We're doing mental wellness. It's a big thing right now. Beth hit the nail on the head. People are already stressed out, but now it's even worse. And for a lot of our team members, I say they go from the block to the boardroom, and then we have people that are in the boardroom that have to transition and understand the block, right? We have to have them meet in that middle place. There's mental issues, mental wellness issues that they face from both components. And so that's been a big thing for us. We have mandated wellness days where we gather the team and we have a place like Long Wave Yoga come in and do a meditation sleep room because we have everything on site. We're hosting events that's specifically catered to emotional wellness for our team members and giving them access to tools. A good tool that we just discovered is called Together All. And it was originally created just for students, and a company can opt in for it, and your team gets a code and they could go in and speak to people who are also dealing with some of the challenges that they're dealing with anonymously. I never see the issues that they post or what they talk about. And an example is someone can go in and say, hey, I'm really having a hard day today. I don't know if I'm going to make it. They have a team of counselors that's also on standby to address those things that may be at a high level, but there's people coming in, talking to them and sharing some of the challenges that they're also facing. And so they have their own community outside of the community that we built at True Colors. Another thing that we're doing for our team is people don't know how to separate work anymore because, we work from home. For us, we're back in the building. A lot of the work that we do is uniting communities and making sure that we drive peace. And so in order to do that, we can't do it all the time via a Zoom room. We tried. So we have to show up. So making sure those protocols are in place, giving people the option to take over if they have to for things like childcare, being empathetic for individual issues, but also making sure that we have the tools available for them if they need to work from home with tech reimbursements, offering them assistance in childcare and connecting them to ongoing resources that they need. So Paul, we created an entire resource guide for our team that, is listed from medical all the way down to mental health to childcare, and to other individualized services that we believe people may be facing right now. And if someone is having an issue with feeling like they're included, we create an inclusorship where you get to go out and you eat with someone, and I measure it with what we call perspective points. Did you learn something that you had in common? Would you do it again? Did you learn something new? Did you find something in common, and would you do it again? And those are the perspective points. And what we've seen is that we're not just driving communities of gang, but we're driving people from different cultures, backgrounds, socioeconomic status, and it's brought them together. And people want community right now because a lot of us have been alone for so long. And so, we can have coffee, but there's nobody to drink coffee with. And so making sure that we are providing a community where people can come together and they can feel valued and they can continue to be proud of where they work, and offering them the resources that they need because we're being kind. And I think, Paul, you remember I'm the acronym queen. So kind for me is knowledge inspires new direction. When you're being kind in the workplace, you use what you know to drive and define and design what you need for the company and the people that you're driving it for. And so we've just learned to be kind. We understand what's happening day by day, week by week. And once we see those issues, I begin to address them. Similar to where we are now, we're redesigning some of our workplace. We're giving our team the option to work at a co-working membership location that the company, of course, is completely reimbursing. And we're driving community with friendly challenges and competitions. We mugging people, and that may sound really weird, right? But we have gang members, right? And so we use terms like that. And so when we mug you, it means that you made a significant contribution to the community. So we show up or ship a mug with the Starbucks gift card in the cup, and we just say thank you. You can't think of thank you. So if you can write a note to your team member and let them know that they appreciate it, they find value there. And so what I've learned in 2020 and 2021 is that even though True Colors is a for-profit brewery, we are three the hard way: people focused, purpose driven, and profit aligned. And if you keep those three things up front, you'll be able to meet your people where they are, challenge any situations that may hinder the success of the culture that you're trying to build, and you'll continue to create unique and innovative benefits from the ground up and not from the top down.
Yeah, you rattled off so many great things. I want to make sure that the audience could get to some of them and understand exactly what you did. When you talk about the Inclusorship program, so how practically do you match people up? How does that actually work?
Yeah, so we have experienced hires in gang, right? And so, it's really easy. And so you come in as a new team member, or if you're here now and you're looking to have a conversation, I want to help you have that conversation or connect with people. And so I give them kind of a belief, business and a brand conversation that's similar to our onboarding, which I don't want to go into a lot about, but it's 8 weeks of life skills, social skills, business skills, and beer. But we have a component that is just for non-gang experience hires. And so we connect them with each other, and we send them out to lunch to have a conversation. And when they come back, they do an anonymous survey. We don't know which one is which, but we ask 3 questions. Hey, did you learn something new? Did you find something in common? And would you do it again? And we've always got 100%. People learn through conversation, which sparks what you believe about individuals, yourself, your community, and your company. And it's been I think one of the best things that we've done, because it's made it easier for people that may not have experience with the inner city or understand completely what happens in gangs to change their perspective about the stereotype that's been put out there, through the press, through the paper, and in other areas. And so when they come in and they get this opportunity to connect with people that not only doesn't look like them, but are from different demographics, or they have different educational statuses, and they begin to have conversations and they learn more. It bridges a connection. I always say, if we want to unpack racial justice and equity in business, we have to look at the bags it's been packed in, and those are behaviors, actions, the groups it affects, and the systems that have been designed. And if we begin to redesign some things, started with connecting people in an inclusorship, right? I think it would help us build more meaningful and valuable relationships, because it starts with a conversation, not with a Slack message or an email.
Yeah. And to me, that's such a great practice that would be valuable, whether you were a gang member or you weren't, right? I mean, these are things that matter to everybody. Would be great for just any company's own diversity program. That's right. To put people in these situations to engage in the conversation. I love that. That's a great one. The reverse mentorship, is that more of a peer program then?
Yeah. Yeah, reverse mentorship is more of a peer. It's for senior team members, gang. You have new gang affiliates that come in that say yes, you pair them and you help them stay on track. We measure things like attendance, attitude, and achievement, really simplified, and just to make sure that they're continuing on this path, because in addition to those 8 weeks, we have a 90-day internship, and then you go into your career role. That includes, of course, raises, stretch assignments, and some educational opportunities that we offer you. We are really big in making sure that you are equipped, not just for our company, but for real life and for where you may want to go in your life.
Talk about this resource guide. Is that something that is that literally a hard copy document that you provide to people? Is that just something online? How do you keep that going and update that with things that people need?
Yeah, so it's a PDF. It's shared in-house. It's on a Google Drive, and it's updated every month. We do checks on resources to make sure those are still available. We ask team members, through questionnaire, of course, through surveys, hey, have you used a resource guide? Is there something that's not in there that you want to see, or that you believe that you need, or that we should add? I mean, we had medical, dental, vision, and what we saw is that a lot of people were saying that they were contacting some of those individuals, and the appointments were so far out. So what I did with that information was design a health fair and brought in the professionals there so they can meet them face-to-face, one-on-one, and get the appointments that they need. And of course, it also includes mental health coaches and practitioners, wellness practitioners. What else is in it? It's also an area where if you are going through anxiety or stress, our director of health and wellness put some tips that you can use in there, also with some direct links to maybe a Way of Life app, or one of the apps that you can tap into for free. Some yoga organizations have yoga rooms that you can join monthly, and so you can just jump in on your own. You don't have to announce it. And I think providing tools to people that's readily accessible, they don't have to come to me as chief people officer and say, hey, KO, I'm struggling here. Can I have this? Some people don't, have the courage yet to be able to open up their mouth and ask. And so if you just make it available, people can go and tap into what they need. I do have it. I can share what we have so you can look at it. I will say that I'm redesigning some of it and turn it into like a what to do when nobody's around to tell you guide. And the unique part of so the unique part about it is, for an example, hey, if you want to have a conversation with someone in the workplace, turn to page 25. So if you recall those books where it was decided based on where you wanted to go. Hey, if you want to go through the door, go to page 20. If you want to stay in the room, go to page 15. I'm showing my age. When I was young, I read books like that. And so we're doing what to do when nobody's around to tell you that like that. So it goes to what you need and you don't have to read through the entire thing.
I love it. I love that title. And this isn't an HR manual, right? This is a guide, a resource guide that's always updated, that people have access to. You keep driving people back to it, especially those that may not want to, so it's so efficient too. So whether they're uncomfortable, they don't have time, or you can't have these conversations, if you're listening and adding to that, I just think that's a great idea. Yeah, if there's a version of it you'd like to share, I'm sure people would love to see it. Great stuff from both of you. I want to open it up to the group now and hear from anybody on the call. Either shoot a question in the chat, raise your hand, and Hamza will find you, and you guys can not only ask a question, but if you've got a great best practice that you have implemented on this topic, we would love to hear it. So there were a couple that came in before the session, so I'll just start with one of those. From this person, she said, we have unlimited vacation, which is great. Would love to hear how other companies encourage others to utilize unlimited vacation to avoid employee burnout. So what do you think about that? Or what do you think about unlimited vacation to begin with? Beth?
Yeah, I'll chime in. So I'm pretty vocal on this. So I'm not a fan of unlimited vacation. I think, when this was several years ago when this kind of first started, I think Best Buy was one of the first companies that did it, and they found that people actually took less time. So I think setting parameters, if you're going to have this, like what else is your culture? Does your culture allow people to actually take time off without having to check in? Is your culture the type that, you're allowing parents to leave early and, finish their day, maybe watching their child play, some sort of sport, or, attending a school conference, and at the end of the day, the work getting done? And I think this is definitely something that's top down. We don't have unlimited vacation, and I would not encourage it. But we do have some trouble, and we had one of our Ask Us Anything questions was, I'm finding it hard when I take time off, like there's still so much work to get done. And it was something that we as a leadership team talked about. This is something that we're very much a servant leadership model. So we believe that anyone touches the customer. So it's our warehouse team, our customer service team is at the top of our pyramid. But I said, this is one where we're going to go traditional here, and this is top down. We have to lead by example. We have to stop responding. We have to empower our team, hold them accountable to be able to make decisions when we're not around. And so putting some processes in place to allow people to ensure that the work is going to get done, because people truly care, and we are a customer-driven organization, but still allowing people to take that break, especially coming off of a year of 2020, when people, couldn't take any vacation or go away. So I would just say, if you do have it, then just make sure you also have the culture that's going to allow for that flexibility in other areas, not just with time off.
That's good.
Kale, there was a question that came in for you. You talked about your mandated wellness day. How often do you either offer that or make them take a day for that?
Yeah, so we have opportunities for to meditate every week, but we have one a month where we go all out, and we ask team members to rotate inside the room. We offer lunch, also, and some other incentives for people for participating. And so once a month is mandated, but we have a wellness component that you can tap into every week. But that once a month component is a big deal. People look forward to it, and if you add food and cool drinks, no alcohol, but like infused water or something really cool, you make it a full experience for them.
Food always helps.
Yes.
One for both of you, you both said that you want to meet people where they are, and there's a lot of individuality. We also see differences in generations of workers, right? So older generation, younger folks may want something different. How are you dealing with that? The fact that different people want different things, particularly in different age ranges.
Yeah.
Kale, you want to go first? Up to you.
You go ahead.
Okay. I would say so we have a younger generation in our employee population. I think our average age is 34, 35. And so one of the things, we have a diversity, inclusion, belonging committee. One of the things that comes up often, and we have some vocal team members, is that we're not considering older team members enough. So I think that we're kind of hitting the mark on the younger generation, because that is really what we've been attracting in terms of talent. But I think thinking about the older generation, for us, we do a lot. I mentioned we have a seasonal workforce. So we have 200 year-round team members, and then we scale up. And I'm going to give you a range because when I first started 3.5 years ago, we hired about 1,000 people in the fourth quarter. Last year, we hired 2,000 because of COVID. And so we have an opportunity to work with community partners, not so much what Kay was talking about with gangs, but one of our greatest success partners are those that work with people who've come out of jail. And those are personally and professionally, I get such great, it's honestly what makes my job. I'm being very honest. But I think also focusing on the older generation veterans and giving them the opportunities, because I think it's also about lack of opportunities, not so much benefits, but how do we provide opportunities to make them more marketable, even if it's not with uncommon goods for the long term, but to be able to give them maybe new upgraded skills to be able to go to the market so that they are more marketable.
That's good. I mean, for us, we have some generational diversity, but not a lot. And so for us, our hierarchy, even though we have people in levels, when we're communicating with each other, you have access to our CEO because we all are on one open floor. You can touch him. And so for us, when it comes to, trying to make sure that we have programs across the board, we look at what people have in common as opposed to what divide them first. And so we look at things like technology. We look at things like workplace value. An example is we have a lot of young team members who don't have families yet, but we have some older team members who are going to value some of those family benefits. And so I provide that generational diversity training where I help them prepare in advance for the things that they need. And when you do that, you kind of help bridge the gap. So for our team members who don't have families yet, we prepare them for the families that they will have. And so the benefits that we offer across the board, it may be good for you now, but we also tell them to keep watching because it's going to be available for you when you need them, and vice versa.
I know there's some really good ideas out in this group of things that you guys are doing. So please raise your hand and share them with us so we can all benefit from the things that you guys are doing. Or if you have a question for Beth or Ko. Beth, you talked about the fact that you guys were a company that was really all in one building, and you went to remote, of course, and now everybody has a choice of what they want to do going forward. Do you see a difference in how you foster this culture or listen to people in a hybrid environment like this?
I would say yes, and I think to some degree it has improved a bit because we make the effort and we make sure that there's time to do that. There's one thing I wanted to add that on the heels of the mental health got me thinking that I wanted to share that has really gotten a lot of positive feedback that I would encourage if you have the courageous and brave team members to do this. So it started with every month we would celebrate and recognize what's nationally recognized. So we, Black History Month, and we started this with Women's History Month in March, where we did a panel. And it was very easy to do. I went out to women and I said, hey, would you like to be on a panel just to talk about your career journey, obstacles you faced? So these were current employees. It was so well attended and it was virtual. And we also make sure that we make the space for our on-site team to stop what they're doing, and we give them the safe, socially distant space to also join in the midst of their day. That we continue doing it. We actually did one for mental health awareness. So we did bring in a professional psychologist who facilitated the conversation because I did not feel equipped to do that. But we actually had 4 team members who struggle with mental health just to share their journey. And it was powerful. It was absolutely powerful to hear I'm not alone. And what it did is also opened the door so that people went to those individuals directly. We did it for AAPI month. We heard from our Asian team members, and we're in New York. And so things were really, really bad at one point for the Asian community. Their physical safety was in jeopardy and people were getting hurt. And also for Pride Month, hearing from our LGBTQAI+ community, also facilitated by an expert. So I would say we are making concerted efforts to make sure that people are heard, have opportunities to voice their opinions, and also now working with managers to make sure that that's also happening on a department basis. right? So when we're doing performance reviews, I said this yesterday to a group of managers, I said, make sure your video's on. I realize people are not comfortable. I said, performance reviews, if you're not going to do it in person, turn your video camera on. There's a lot going on with body language with performance reviews. So we are making very conscious efforts, but also thinking through, before we used to think through, how do we bring our warehouse side and our office side together? And we have a shared break room. Now I need to think about, how do we get our on-site team engaged in a virtual environment, also in a live environment, and our remote team engaged. So it's complex, but I think it's actually had positive, and based on our engagement surveys, we're actually doing fairly well.
Awesome.
So you're not afraid to tackle these timely topics, whether they relate to diversity, social justice, equality, mental health. I personally feel like it's about time that we're doing this stuff, we're talking about it, and it's going to take a while, right? It doesn't happen overnight, but if we can make this not just a sign of the times, but permanent, I think that we're going to engage people, and ultimately people will be even more productive because they know that we care about them in the totality of their lives. So that's a great way to do it, and to take those, because there's a national month for just about anything, and so to be able to pivot, take it and say, okay, we may celebrate it, we're going to talk about it, we're going to get people in the room that have experience and that share their stories, because to me, one thing that I don't like about all the diversity talk is the fact that we're just trying to check boxes or get numbers. And I don't think it's about the numbers of Black people we have, for example. I think it's about understanding what it is to be a Black person growing their career. And a lot of us don't know that, right? Don't have that understanding. So it's, to me, it's about engaging the conversation, and that's a great way to do it. Kale, what about you? Anything to add there?
No, I think Beth covered that area pretty well. I will say that, understanding people, the world of work has changed. Understanding people is no longer an option. It's a priority for any company that wants to succeed. And so when we think about the things that we offer as a brand, right, it also defines who we are and what we represent, and also what we stand for. I think, I loved everything that Beth said, and I don't think I can add anything to it. I will say the camera on for performance management, that has changed for us also. But we're doing peer-to-peer reviews also, so people are talking about, their relationships with their peers when they work together in a small cohort group, and that helps build a level of understanding as well. And performance is not just about what you do, with your hand to the plow for the work you've been assigned, but also how you treat people in the workplace. And so we've had to add on there, and there's some things that's not written yet that I believe human resource has to write, because we're beginning to realize that HR is homegrown and human. It's not about technology and just policies and procedures, but about people who are at the foundation of it all.
Yeah, that's great. And I think that's a great transition for HR as an industry, and how it's described, and what the responsibilities are, and what people actually do, because it's very different from the bricks and mortar that we're used to. It's really great. Matt Hoing, welcome, my friend. Do you have a question, or you got some good ideas to share?
Yeah, just a couple comments. One, thank you, Beth and KO, for sharing your experience. This is very beneficial. I love both of you mentioned at some point in time meeting your people where they're at. Some of the things that I have experienced that we've done is really trying to align our benefits with our culture, and understanding where our people are at the moment. We've done things like increased our 401k match, because part of our culture is wanting to train and learn financial literacy and independence. And so wanting to encourage people to participate more in their 401k. We have a lot of young employees, and so it's not natural tendency for them to want to do that. Employee ownership is something that's been big for us, is offering people a chance to become owners and learn more about the business. And something that has been big for us is the flexible work environment. For us, we thought it was going to be a hybrid model. that's kind of what we thought this was going to need to be. But having actual sit down conversations with our employees, they all wanted to be back in the office. They just wanted to have more flexibility about when they were in the office. And so that was kind of a big thing recently for us as kind of an aha, was we needed to meet our people where they wanted to be met instead of where we thought they were going to want to be met at. And people have been very appreciative of that, because they didn't want to work from home. They didn't want to work from a Starbucks or any place like that. They wanted to be here. They wanted to be in this collaborative environment and the culture we have. They just wanted to be able to schedule their kids' doctor's appointments or whatever the case may be. And so that was big for us. And so I just wanted to kind of second what I've heard both of these ladies say so far, is meeting your people where they're at. And that's going to change. I mean, 5 years ago, that's not something we ever heard from our employees. And I could assume in 5 years, it might not be something that's as important to them anymore, or it might be more of a remote environment.
Well, I think that's one good thing that came out of the pandemic, was that we were all forced to be remote, and a lot of companies never would have done that, and were afraid of it and afraid of the productivity. And so the fact that you've experienced now, and that all of you are listening to your employees to create the model of the future, whatever that is, that's the most important thing, and where I think we need to be consistent. Matt, I want to ask you, with your 401k as an example, I remember it's been a number of years, but in my company with younger people, they wouldn't necessarily sign up for the 401k because they just didn't get this idea that they would actually appreciate it and thank me many, many years from now when there was some money there that was left over. Is that something that they opt into, or is it something that they're automatically enrolled in?
We have changed it about 1.5 years ago to where they automatically are enrolled. They have to opt out of, and then additionally, they also have to opt out of a 1% per year increase, up to a 10% deferral. So our plan is, you're automatically enrolled. You're automatically going to increase your enrollment 1% up to 10%, unless you choose to opt out, and we will match up to 8% of their deferrals. So it's something that long term, hopefully it'll be several years until they're there and they have it. But our hope is that they can retire when they want to, instead of when they can afford to.
Yeah, that we did the same thing, and I think that's a great practice. It's part of educating people, but sometimes you have to force the discipline a little bit and say, you can opt out if you want, but trust us, this is something that is going to benefit you in the long run, for sure. What other questions do we have?
Well, I just want to touch upon, Matt, that's great. And thank you for reminding me. I just want to kind of talk about pay from kind of a couple tiers. One is we, for the first time, we have a 401k with a generous match also, but because of the seasonality of our business, you have to wait a year to join, because we just have people joining, so frequently. But you actually prompted me for an idea. I do like the auto enrollment. For the first time, because we had a successful 2020, partly because of COVID, I'll be very honest, being an online business, and we create, positive experiences, we did a profit share. And so we put money into everybody's 401k. And what that did was that also opened a 401k for people who didn't have one. And then we started doing some 401k informational sessions. So people realized, and they saw that, okay, this is really not affecting my day-to-day paycheck. We're a privately owned company, and every year-round team member gets options as part of their, so whether you work, entry-level position all the way up, you get options. And then that is vested. And so what we found is that at the end of your vesting, it was costing you, because you had to pay the taxes on it, that people were not exercising their options. And so we actually, thanks to our head of finance, kind of switched to the netting model. So basically your taxes would, I don't want to get into I'm not so well versed in this, but essentially, you can use your gains to help offset the taxes, and you're not paying anything outright. But what that's doing is it's increasing the number of our owners as well. And that's our goal in terms of we want to increase the number of 401k participants and owners in the company. Also on pay, because of COVID, we added thank you pay. we've been doing thank you pay since May. So we are a warehouse. We're in New York. We were always deemed essential. We voluntarily closed our warehouse for 8 weeks right before Mother's Day, which is a very big business time for us. But we were really concerned about the health and safety of our team. We shut it down. We were able to get our inventory out to 2 other 3PLs in the other part of the country that weren't hit as bad as New York. We did a soft pre-opening in May. And we invited back those who can get to work without public transportation, because at that time, you know, there was a lot we didn't know. And again, being health and safety first. So we were giving for every hour that the team was working on site, they got an additional $2 an hour, regardless of their role. Mm-hmm. Then we were still running our business. And then we did this massive hiring for season. We hired about 1,500 people on site. During our peak weeks, which is typically starting Black Friday and runs the week before Christmas, we increased our thank you pay to $4 an hour. Things were still not great in New York. We really wanted to thank our team for walking around with their masks. We were gloving at the time, maintaining social distancing, all while our minimum wage has been $18 an hour. In New York City, it's $15 an hour. We pay $18 an hour plus $2 thank you pay. We're actually rolling in the thank you pay into their salary with this fourth quarter coming up. So our minimum wage will be $20 an hour. So we pay, like, our goal is to pay a living wage. And even in New York, living on $20 an hour is tough, but it is one of the ways in which, and we're also going to be adding thank you pay on top of that for the fourth quarter as well. Because unfortunately, COVID's still here, and we really want to just thank and appreciate our team for their health and safety priorities.
Yeah.
I love that. Thank you, Pay. Yeah, Kale.
Yeah, I want to add on to that because that was a powerful lead in to a conversation that I'm sure that you guys are having in the Small Giants community, is making sure that employees have a livable wage. Because right now we see a lot of restaurants, the hospitality industry closing because they're unable to provide a living wage for their team members. And so a lot of people just are shutting down. Companies are closing because of a lack of employees. And so I think it is important that if you can, that you pay your employees a wage that they can live on. We do the same thing here. For us this year is something we added extra insurance, which is really one of those tough conversations that the company opts you in for. You have to opt out of life insurance from us, but we cover it for you because of what we've seen happen in COVID. And we offered an opportunity for department managers to provide additional stock options for performance and for putting in the work during the pandemic that we face. So all of our employees already have stock options after 90 days, but you had an opportunity to earn a little bit more, you know, based on the work that you did and just for being present and showing up, you know, because some people just aren't showing up. And so that wage conversation, I think, is really important for people in addition to benefits, because for some companies, the benefits are just giving them a livable wage, but there should be more. And I can get really hot on this topic, but we want to make sure that team members can function effectively. They're not just doing work for us, but we're making sure they can do what they need to do for themselves also. So yeah, great stuff.
Yeah. It's a great point. And so the compensation, the basics are really important. You got to pay people fairly and give them the basics of that living wage so that the rest of the stuff even matters that we're doing for them. So it sounds like you guys are doing that well. One final question is, you're doing wonderful things. We're in a time when it's actually very hard to get new employees. So is this kind of work helping you recruit? Is this something that you brand, so to speak, that you promote, that's on your website? So if I'm thinking about working for your companies, how am I going to know in advance that this kind of support is available to me? Kale?
Yeah, so for us, that's a great question, Paul, because it's not on our website. And so I've actually, this last go around, we're recruiting right now for a larger beer team, and have our production department creating a few short videos to kind of speak to what we offer. And so we have to create a recruitment strategy. There has to be a brand marketing campaign specifically to bring people in. And so we're adding kind of what we offer, brief employee conversations and testimonials into that, so that when people are looking for jobs like True Colors, they can pop up on the video, or they can go to our website. So our website is being streamlined to show those benefits before they even hear about the salary. And I think that that's important. We have to be outward facing with these things. For so long, you guys will remember the ads, submit your salary requirements. People want to know upfront what they're getting paid when they apply, and they also want to know what else you're offering. And so we're putting that on Front Street so that people will be able to see it, one, through a career site, two, through some SEO and target marketing campaign for people who are looking, through video production and social media. And we're also doing it by conversation. When I'm having conversations with people about coming to work at True Colors, I'm jumping right in at first and saying, hey, this is what we have to offer. And we need you, because right now it's a challenge to find great employees. And if you find them, you don't just want to keep them, you want to cultivate them and make sure they're willing to have that conversation with other people that they could potentially invite to come in also.
That's great. Great. Beth?
Yeah, I would say spot on with KO. I think for us, I think our careers page, a couple things. First of all, needs a refresh, rehaul. It's part of my people strategy for 2022. I just hired a senior people manager, and one of their first tasks is going to be take a look at this, because I don't think we tell our story well enough from our careers page. We do have a page where we show pictures, which we're missing a lot, but we try to show our team, and also kind of just shows the diversity of our team to somebody who's applying, and stories about people. So that's really helpful. And similar, we're trying to do more. We work a lot with community partners for our seasonal recruitment, local community partners. We're also going to be trying to do some Facebook targeted ads as well. We post all of our jobs in the B Corp community. So when we get people who are looking to work for a B Corp, we certainly have that advantage, and we're a founding B Corp. So we've been there since the beginning, but this is definitely an area I don't think we tell our story well enough. So building our employer value proposition is a goal for us in 2022.
I think it's an opportunity for everybody, because you're doing wonderful things. People need to know about it. That's going to allow you to recruit and to retain better people as well. So glad that's on the radar for both of you. I want to thank both of you for participating today. This was great. So many wonderful ideas, very practical stuff too that people can take with them. What I heard was the basics are important, that listening is the number one thing. Is you got to take the time to, like you said, meet employees where they are, listen on a regular basis to what they need. Realize that everybody's different. So the extent to which we can customize based on what people need is really valuable. And sometimes we have to force the discipline, right? So we're going to force you to take that mental health day, or we're going to enroll you in that 401k because we know that this is going to be something that's going to be valuable to you. And so I think these are all really great practices. I think that COVID has put us in a situation to learn more about our people. And because we are people-focused businesses in the community, it's a great opportunity to keep these things part of the conversation going forward. So thank you all who joined us today. There'll be some resources that'll come your way afterwards. KO, Beth, again, thank you so much. Hamza, I'll turn it over to you.
Okay, great. Thank you, Beth and Keo. This was a wonderful conversation. As Paul mentioned, the recording, notes, and some resources will be shared by tomorrow with all of you. Join us next month. The virtual panel will be on employee ownership, which we referenced today. We'll have two wonderful panelists to lead us through that conversation. That's going to be on September 22nd at 1 p.m. Eastern. And we are in the midst of recruiting for the Small Giants Leadership Academy at the community, which is a one-year certification program. If that's something that's interesting to you and or your emerging leaders, we would love to talk with you about it. I think my colleagues are dropping a link there. You can also email us at hello@smallgiants.org. Thank you all so much. Be well. Take care.